one. Parish President, remarks and comments. Mr. Cochran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be kind of quick because I want to talk about the storm at the end. It looks like you're trying to get your grass cut, Mr. Woodruff. We're keeping Congressman Steve Scalise, members of his detail, and other victims in the Virginia shooting in our thoughts. We wish him and those injured a speedy recovery from this tragic incident. Please keep them and their families in your prayers. The Independence Day celebration. St. Charles Parish will celebrate its annual Independence Day event with a performance by the Bucktown All-Stars from 6 to 9 p.m. July 3rd at the West Bank Bridge Park, 13825 River Road, Luling, Louisiana. A fireworks show will follow the performance at 9 p.m. In addition to the band, there will be 2 balloon-twisting Uncle Sam clowns, a miniature golf course donated by Logan's Little Greens for children to enjoy. The band is scheduled to begin at approximately 6:25 with a 20-minute fireworks extravaganza beginning at 9 p.m. An opening ceremony featuring flag raising by a local Boy Scout troop, the national anthem, and a recitation of the parish's Independence Day proclamation will begin at approximately 6:15. The following food and drink items will be sold by local nonprofit organizations at the celebration: nachos, sweets, pulled pork, watermelon, jambalaya, pastelai, French fries, corn dogs, hamburgers, hot dogs, chips, pickles, soft drinks, water, frozen treats, and snowballs. Mr. Fosha, you don't want to miss that one. Plenty of food. No alcohol will be sold. However, residents may bring their own alcohol. No glass bottles are allowed in the park. For more information, visit our website. St. Charles Parish Procurement Office is now hosting their online auction at www.publicsurplus.com until June 30th. Under the Browse Auctions Within Area section, residents can find the St. Charles Parish President's Office listing. Items up for auction will be added to the listing as they become available. All items are being sold as is and where is, and no warranty is given as to the usefulness, merchantability of any item sold. There will be no refunds. For more information, call them at 985-783-5000. Registration is now open for the Department of Parks and Recreation Fall Sports until June 30th. New to the fall sports lineup is flag football. Flag football is co-ed sport offered for ages 5 to 6, is offered for boys only for ages 7 and 8, 9 and 10. Other sports include tackle football, baseball, volleyball, cheerleading, and tennis. Civil Service Awards. We honored 85 employees for both attendance and service during the 35th Annual Civil Service Awards training program held June 8th at the Edwin A. Dufresne Community Center. Earl Mathern, Jr., Planning Administrator for St. Charles Parish, was named Outstanding Employee of the Year. He is a 25-year employee of St. Charles Parish government. He has served the entirety of his career in the Department of Planning and Zoning, where he started as a coastal zone management planner before moving up to a coastal zone management administrator and ultimately becoming the parish's planning administrator. In addition, Oshner Health System Wellness Coordinator Frank Lee discussed wellness resources available to parish employees. The full list of employees honored is available on our website. Talk a little bit about the weather coming. In anticipation of the tropical weather, we are urging residents to monitor weather reports, prepare by clearing drains and ditches around their homes, and reporting any debris piles or block culverts to the EOC at 985-783-5050. I'm going to ask our parish's EOC director to give us an update on what we can expect the weather. Joe?
Thank you, Parish President Cochran, members of the council. Just give you a quick briefing. Obviously, we're watching 93L with a close eye, as you are, and I'm just going to give you some brief, as of 4 p.m., some bullet points as to what to expect at this point. Obviously, things change. It's not a tropical storm at this point, but I caution you, just as they caution us, it doesn't have to be a tropical storm, doesn't have to be a hurricane to have some negative impacts on our parish. So I want to talk to you about what we're looking at potentially here. So we're expecting potential development in the next 48 hours. Obviously, as you can see by the graphic there and that red blob, they don't have a current track of exactly where it's going to go because it's not a named storm at this point, and it doesn't have a really guiding mechanism to it. But we know that we are going to be impacted here in South Louisiana. So what can we expect? Heavy rainfall will be a primary threat to South Louisiana and southern Mississippi, almost regardless of the track is what they're saying. So no matter where it goes, we're going to receive some impact. Current forecast right now is 3 to 6 inches of rain, with the potential for 10 to 15 plus inches of rain. So you see a big gap there. It all depends on where this thing ends up settling. Our heaviest rain is currently expected somewhere around Wednesday or Thursday. At this point, we could start feeling some impacts tomorrow as early as late tomorrow night. And our tides could also rise to 2 to 4 feet, which will also be dependent on the actual track. And I think Thursday we timed it out, and our tides are going to be at 1.4 feet at that moment. So you do the math and you figure out that that could be a problem at that point. So right now, as you know, and I don't know if anybody's heard yet, but there is a tropical storm warning for the intercoastal city and to the mouth of the Pearl River. And then we have a watch that's going to be intercoastal city to Highland, Texas. Currently, St. Charles Parish at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning will be on a flash flood watch. Again, that's tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So what are we doing? We're being very proactive, obviously. We're going to make sure that we're prepared, certainly. Suki's going to talk about a few things that obviously Public Works are doing, which is incredibly important, but we are vulnerable. Here we don't have a levee system like other agencies, and we're going to be a little more active and proactive than maybe than most, because we want to make sure that we're prepared and we protect our citizens. So obviously we want to be ahead in the game. And again, one thing you know about June storms, you don't get a whole lot of them in here, and when you do, they usually develop in the Gulf, which doesn't give you a lot of time. So, and then as it gets closer to the coastline, it could be a tropical storm, as we saw in Isaac at that point, or even a Category 1 hurricane. So it's important that at this point, 48 hours out for sure, that we start taking some proactive approaches and be prepared and make sure that our citizens are prepared. So we just need to be very, very vigilant.
Thank you, Joe. I asked Mr. Fauché to give us a little update on what they're doing. They've been busy, and they're going to 12-hour work schedule, so they'll be working all night. Mr. Fauché?
Yes, sir, Mr. Cochran. We started this morning coming up with a forward plan. The first thing we addressed was the HESCO baskets. Those started going up right after lunch today. It's very important that we at least bridge as many of the gaps as we can, especially along Bayou des Allemands, so that if the need for flood fighting happens, we have the ability to do that. We also started early because of the decent weather. We felt we could move faster and get these in place for when the rain starts. The crews will start later tomorrow as we get more into the HESCO baskets, checking ditches, removing debris. We are going to deploy our boom trucks to make sure we get as much debris up off the ground as we can, so that it does not end up in the ditches if in fact we do have heavy rains. We are working 24 hours around the clock. That starts tonight. Our second shift will come in at midnight. We're also working telemetry 24 hours around the clock. So we'll be monitoring and pulling down canals manually to as low possible levels as we can to provide as much retention as possible. One thing I do caution is the fact that we have received almost 10 inches of rain recently. The ground is already wet, so that doesn't make for a good situation to get this much more rain on top of that. Some of our areas that normally we would rely on for retention have water, so that's the reason we're trying to pull the canals down as low as we possibly can. We're trying to be proactive. I mean, St. Charles Parish residents are our #1 primary concern, and we're doing everything that we possibly can to prepare. We will or should already be out is the location of our sand piles with bags. If people want sand and sandbags at both bridge parks and at the bridge in Bayou Gauche, the entrance to the island. We're starting with those. We will address concerns going forward. We are putting out some temporary pumps and temporary generators. So all I can say is we've been at this all day. We think we've come up with a great plan to be as prepared as possible, and we're actively working that plan right now.
Thank you, Mr. Fauché. Just to let the council know, as Mr. Fauché said, we've been at it all day. We come up with a plan, we put it in place, and we're going to move forward with it. I've talked to the sheriff and the school board. We're going to reconvene in the morning. But again, that's where we're at, and I thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing us to give you an update. That concludes my report.